There have been rumours heard about 2 American states talking about making gold and silver into money again, or something like that. Yeah, interesting times could be ahead in the not so distant future. We'll just have to wait and see. Economic outlook and everything following this stuff again is kind of looking very bleak. What's happening here in the UK? Brexit just has to go through the House of Lords to have Article 50 serve our notice, then we should be leaving the EU. But it is interesting with the French elections, Trump getting in, and this Le Pen, and she seems to be campaigning on leaving the EU as well and getting rid of the euro currency, probably going back to the franc. It seems that she's heading the polls at the moment for what you believe in the polls, or all these things. There does seem to be some sort of movement. People say it's the far right, they're all racists or whatever. This is what happens, but it's kind of like the people who are waking up, and there are people out there who are the blockheads. They couldn't believe that the truth bombs might be starting to come out. The conspiracy theorists, or the people have been saying, have been going on for years. Like we've been saying, oh, the markets have been manipulated for years and years, and recently big banks have been fined for manipulating the market. So what else can come out? That basically the whole thing's a scam and we're all being lied to, and this is real money. That other stuff isn't real money. This is real money. For 1 ounce plata pura. And there are people in Mexico probably know that. You know, this is real money. And in times of hardship, if you've got some of this, wherever you are in the world, it's money. Someone will take it. If you didn't get any food, or you haven't stocked up on whatever, you could buy something with this. For sure, 1 ounce of silver, you might be able to buy food for 2 weeks with this when it all hits the fan, at least. It is a bizarre situation we're in, and I don't like going into it too much about the new world order and all these sort of things, and elite. I do think about this UN Agenda 21 quite a bit. It's implementation, and obviously with certain things happening, the car seems to be a target, always is. They don't want us to be free as well with our own mode of transport, being able to go where we want, when we want, anytime we want. They can control that with autonomous cars. They decide that, we don't want you driving. They just shut you down. Quite easy. There is a lot of things saying about diesel cars, and they're more pollutant than they thought they were, and they told us to drive them, and now they're bad. And there was a study done somewhere where they stopped traffic on a Saturday, and it made no difference. The pollution is from trucks, buses. Behind an old bus today in my car, and I drive a diesel car, a 1.6 with a diesel filter, and that filters most of the stuff that it can. Quite low, free tax at the moment, although that's going up because they're changing the system. They decided they're losing out money. Gonna virtually only electric cars and hydrogen cars, I think, gonna have free road tax in the UK. But that's the attack on the car. But basically is to make the people pay for the demise of it by taxation and forcing you off the road by pricing the poor people out of the market. And that's what this UN Agenda 21 is. It's about sustainability. And if you haven't had a little read of it, it's quite a long article, and I haven't read every single clause and everything in it, but it does make very interesting reading when you get into it, that deep down into it, that the family structure is not sustainable anymore. This is the way they talk about it. And someone in the UN recently came out and said that the global warming was just a thing to take down capitalism. Well, I could have told you global warming's a scam from the beginning, because this planet had been heating up and cooling down for a long time before we were keeping records of it cooling down, or the ice age. And then there's a thing called the carbon cycle. The more carbon there is, the more that plants produce oxygen. So the more carbon there is, the more oxygen gets produced by plants. Stop knocking down trees. Surely people will have a different thought on that, but it's all tied into the same thing. They want less people on the planet. It's not sustainable. The monetary system is not sustainable. Everything is not sustainable. Everything is only sustainable to a certain level, and once you get past that level, it's not sustainable anymore. This happens on a cycle bigger than we're here. Say every 100 years there's a cycle. That cycle, people aren't around anymore, but the same families hand on to the next generation, sort of thing. And the the elitists that control the different aspects of society, big corporations. They're behind so many things. When you look into it, it's the same people. The whole system is like a scam. Everything, democracy, it's a scam. What choice do you have? Like in America, to have a choice, and the choice is Trump or Clinton in the end. I mean, what sort of choice is that? They put the choices in front of you to decide on. Only the choices that they want to have will they allow you to make a decision on. The same as the UK and the Brexit. They didn't want us to leave. The question wouldn't have been put to the people, because that's the last thing they want. The people saying something. No, everything's to suppress the people, to keep them down and brainwash us, and we're happy to do it ourselves and just kind of plod along and make more money to pay off the debt that they saddle around our necks. It might be hard times for different people around the world. Some have hard times now, and some may have hard times in the future, or may have had hard times in the past. And that's a problem, isn't it? It's always the age-old problem. Someone's exploiting someone, or someone's using someone. It's just the extent that you're using someone by, whether they're comfortable with that or not. That's what happens. Like anything, the people feel that, rightly so, they're being taken for a ride, a big ride. The debt's never being paid off. The debt's going up. You look at Greece, and probably going to default. If Greece default, I don't want to tell you, but they owe the City of London, I think it's 30 billion or something like that. That's why no one wants them to default. If they file for bankruptcy, they're not going to get their money. They're not going to get their money. The only way they get their money by getting their assets, their ports, their this, that, and owning them, and then making money and having control over all the other aspects. And that's what they do. They give you this paper money and know that you can never pay it back. It's the same when you go to the bank. This whole system's based on debt. They want you to get into debt. They give you the money. They give everyone loans, but they don't print the interest. So then not everyone can pay back. The whole amount can't be paid back. It can never be paid back. Even the government debt is ridiculous. And one day, the people who the debt is owed to are going to say, we want our money, or we'll save you. You're in so much debt. We're the ones, we can just write off your debt and start the system again. This new system, probably cashless society. Yeah, I don't want to be part of a cashless society because of the implications that it has. If you don't follow the rules, or you disagree, or for whatever reason, they could then cut you off quite easily. That is the problem with electronic things. A lot of things can be made up to look like you did something or could have done something. It's all kind of MI5 or CIA sort of stuff you see in movies. But it is possible stuff like that can happen if you don't listen or do as they say. And this is the confusing thing. You don't know who's on what side, because they're probably playing both sides. So no matter which side wins, they still have that element of control. May do another video or something about that sort of stuff, but it's something that I have a keen interest in. I'll say I believe everything that I hear, even from alternative media. It's funny how the BBC didn't report about what this UN person said, although I'm sure I read somewhere, I think it was MSN, ran a story about the people who did the data, because Congress in America have asked for the raw data. I think it was 2015 in France, when they had a meeting, what do they call them? They had a climate summit they needed to put together, and apparently the data wasn't adding up, so they invented their own data to convince all the nations that the world was still warming up when it hadn't been warming up for 9 years. High-ranking scientist has come out and said that, yeah, we don't have the data, this is what happens. But is that just another ploy or something else to say, oh, well, but Trump's kind of like a mad and he's made these people say that, or they're like a whistleblower like Snowden or something, who just thought, well, I have to say something now because it's my duty. A lot of these scientists get their money from the government to do their research, to do their different things, and without big people who have the money who control the government. So if they don't do as they're told and say, well, this is what we think because we're the scientists, and it meets the agenda, the plan that they have to pull the wool over the eyes of the people, to extort them out of money, to make them work or do what they're told for this belief of money, then you don't know what else those people are capable of. Plus, everyone is kind of bought in a sense. If that's your work and you're not going to have any work, you're not going to be able to do any research, you're not going to have the facilities, you're not going to have anything to do anything, then you're going to conform. That's the way we're taught in education. Education teaches you to read something, memorize it, and then recite it. Remember it as it was, the fact. Where's the creative thinking, I'll do something? It's all conditioning. And they don't teach you about silver and gold in school, do they? No. I bet you don't learn about it. It's at the supermarket. You can just go there, pick up what you want. Recently, we've just had a thing in the UK because of the bad harvest they had in Spain and problems with lettuces. So they're only allowing so many lettuces per person. And then my partner went the other day, and I can't remember which supermarket she went to. She was saying she didn't get a lettuce because they were charging £1.50 for it. So like 3 times what they were charging last week for a lettuce. That's taking advantage of a situation. But the fact is, there may be times where there's just no fruit and veg. There's nothing. Or there's people running around crazy because they haven't got any food and there's no food on the shelves. And what are you going to do? It's something to think at. Stocking up on a bit of tin food, rice, food that doesn't really perish. Not that I like it, but I'd have to stock up on coffee, which I'm not saying I've stocked up, but I'm saying I should. That's obviously an expense that some of us haven't or can't afford, but because I buy silver and stuff, some days I don't spend money. I don't really go out. I eat out occasionally. We go out and whatever, have a takeaway, but I tend not to spend that much money anymore, unless I have to. But certain things are just material to me, and I think, well, I could buy some more silver or gold. Most of the money I do spend is on silver and gold. Obviously, we do have a stock of food in a period of time, but it might last us a few weeks or a month even, just the way it is. If we're talking a couple of months or 3 months or something like that, even 6 months, it could be possible. That I hate to imagine what it'd be like with my kids and stuff, because they don't know any different. When I was younger, things were a lot different. Winters were colder, and on occasions there'd be 10-15 foot walls of snow blocking in the road, so you couldn't get out. School was called off for a couple of weeks. You know, that never happens now, really. The odd day here and the odd day there, but that's about it. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me all know what you think about what's going to happen this year. Whether you think it's going to be like bad, economically speaking, or the end of the system will come this year. Could come in many forms.